3. And he wrote, enthusiasm is the most creative of all of the imaginative faculties. There is something light, unobstructed, weightless about it. And our book of the month that we're using is Teachings on Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I'm sharing this with you from page 59 and he wrote, true love contains respect. In the Vietnamese tradition, romantic partners always respect each other as honored guests. And I would extend that invitation to us to treat each other as honored guests, regardless of where our status may find us within that connection. And he goes on to say, when you practice this, your love will last a long time. You bring happiness to yourself and to the other person. This is the greatest gift you can offer your loved one. To love them is to be there for them. In the teachings of Science of Mind, we recognize love is the omnipresent force that flows through everything, every aspect of life. Love is not limited to fleeting moments of passion or dramatic gestures. Love expands when we engage in loving ourselves and others. True love, as Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, carries respect and involves that we receive and that we give. It is rooted in compassion, kindness, and a willingness to share both our joys and our challenges. I like how we do a play on words. We say our challenges or we say our opportunities. As a camouflage for the blank that we're going through. And you fill in that blank. By being present and fully engaged, we transform love from an ideal into a lived reality, allowing us to soar beyond limitations and experience greater depth and fulfillment. And I believe this is what life is about. This is what we're designed to come here in this form to experience. The July 25th, 2025 issue of Super Age highlighted this question: can ice cream actually be healthy? Now you may ask, where is he going with this? And how does this tie into soaring in love? I'll answer it for you at the end. Surprisingly, science says maybe, just maybe. At first glance, ice cream doesn't look like a healthy food. It's calorie dense, loaded with added sugar and saturated fat, and classified as an ultra-processed food. All factors leading to metabolic diseases, long associated with metabolic diseases. Living a long life is influenced by genetics, environment, and a longevity-focused lifestyle. Emerging brain science reveals how ice cream impacts our dopamine circuits and how the live bacteria promotes healthy gut and immune health, shifting the conventional wisdom about ice cream's place in longevity. So there's some hope there. However, there's a catch. Most things that activate our reward, like most things that activate our reward system, the more we indulge, the less satisfying it becomes. So, is ice cream simply an act of self-care, or is it a slippery slope to reward? and we're talking about the emotional reward. Super Age offers these tips to treat yourself without overindulging. First of all, honor the experience. Savor a small scoop slowly with attention. Notice its texture, temperature, and taste. Kind of feel that in your mind's eye. Look for ice cream containing simple, real ingredients: milk, cream, sugar, added fiber, probiotics, low amounts of added sugar, or other healthy ingredients. Mind the habit loop. If ice cream is your go-to for stress relief, ask, what am I really craving? Connection, rest, joy? You may consider taking a refreshing walk. Call a friend, listening to uplifting music, or engage in intentional breathing exercises that help to reduce the stress and improve our focus. The next point is to upgrade your toppings by adding chopped nuts for extra fiber and protein blend, or frozen banana with a scoop of protein powder for a creamy, macro-friendly nice cream. Nice cream. It's about designing our indulgence. And this phrase really resonated with me. So I can design my indulgence. Now, I must offer a spiritual note here. In designing our indulgences, be mindful of engaging in spiritual bypass. Getting back to that slippery slope that we may fall into. Designing our indulgences allow us to fuel that which feeds our spirit and lifts our life about the things that are around us. And when in doubt, think in macros. Instead of thinking good versus bad, think in natural ratios. Ice cream may be high in sugar. However, it also delivers protein, calcium, and fat, making it a more balanced treat than ultra-processed snacks with a zero nutritional upside. And then finally, don't demonize. Ice cream isn't the enemy. Overconsumption and unconscious habits are. Consciously enjoying it, allowing it to be part of a longevity-minded lifestyle. Now, you probably asked in the beginning of this, where am I going with this ice cream question? I go back to Ernest Holmes, our founder, The Teachings of Science of Mind. And he wrote throughout the Science of Mind textbook and other writings that pleasure is the soul's gentle reminder that life is to be enjoyed. When we permit ourselves to celebrate the simple gifts of living, we open our hearts to love's limitless freedom, spirit moving through us. And so as we look at soaring into love, there's some things that we may ask, or some things that we may begin to activate. And one of those things that we activate is to recognize love. And sometimes to assist us in recognizing love, we use a mantra. A mantra allows us to train our minds to shift from scanning for what is lacking or not working to recognizing love first. I know sometimes when I sit down to meditate, if that committee has chosen to call a session that I did not invite it to be a part of, I do spend some time calming myself, and I have a couple of go-to mantras that bring me to that place of focus and centering. Waking up each day and affirming, love is here now, can be a consistent practice. Let's say that. Love is here now. And it's not only present when we wake up. Love is actually right here now. It is with us every moment that we are awake and alive. We can change our perspective and notice the very act of being alive and breathing affirms the presence of love. And we remind ourselves that love is a fundamental part of our existence, not something to be earned or found. Love is a fundamental part of our existence, not something to be earned or found. And the next action that we take is to become grounded in love. This allows us to soar in love. We seek a sustainable way to experience love, a love of receiving and giving, rooted in compassion and at times sacrifice, a love that requires action with intention. To act with intention, we may pause and ask, what do I intend to experience from wherever I am right now? This engagement, this interaction that I'm having. What do I intend to experience from being grounded in love? And so setting our intention requires effort, it requires focus, and it reveals the qualities that are essential for a deeper and more enduring love. Today, declare your intentions, slow down, and find clarity in your purpose for the moments of the day. Then bring that love into the world, infusing it with meaning and presence. And I believe that all of us would agree for such a time as this, what the world needs is love. It needs our love. It needs our spiritual connection, knowing that all of life is united. We're all interconnected. And we can do this. We can do this. And I want to share with you this quote from Rumi. And he says, "You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserves your love and attention." So this brings us back to this idea that love is an inside job. It is an inside practice. And what radiates, what expands within us is that which goes out into our world. And so we can radiate love, we can radiate anger, we can radiate joy, we can radiate sadness. It is our choice. And finally, we soar into love by knowing that love is respect. True love contains respect. Our everyday interactions are the key to cultivating the muscle of respect. We strengthen this muscle by deepening our focus, engaging in more active listening, giving our whole attention to someone when they speak, setting aside our phones, and truly absorbing what is being shared. I remember when I was working in corporate and cell phones were just kind of at the beginning of their existence. And so one of the managers had a policy that when we were at lunch, when we were to be engaging with one another, whoever picked up their phone first covered the tab. And believe me, no one picked up their phones because this manager did not choose inexpensive restaurants in San Francisco. Need I say more? Disrespect often stems from feelings of neglect, being overlooked, or being dismissed. Feelings that can arise all too easily in our fast-paced world. And so, again, we return to this knowingness and this awareness that God is my source. God is the love. God is the joy. God is the peace that I am. And so as I learn to respect myself, I share that same respect and I reflect it outwards. And I want to close with this story. as an example of love is respect. And this is written by a nursing student. Some of you may be familiar with this story in other types of settings. But the student writes, during my second month in nursing school, our professor gave us a pop quiz. I love those little pop quizzes that the universe gives us now and then. I was a conscientious student and had breezed through all of the questions until I read the last one. What is the first name of the woman who cleans the school? Surely this had to be some kind of a joke. I had seen the cleaning woman several times. She was tall, dark-haired, a woman in her 50s. But how would I know her first name? I handed in the paper, leaving the last question blank. And before class ended, one student asked if the last question would count towards our quiz grade. Absolutely, said the professor. In your careers, you will meet many people. All are significant. They deserve your attention and care, even if all you do is smile and say hello. I've never forgotten this lesson, the student wrote. I also learned that her name was Dorothy. And so our call to action this week, if you're willing to accept it, is to slow down, to truly see one another. And I think that we do a good job of this here, especially on Sunday morning, when we spend those few minutes, half an hour, whatever time it is, connecting with each other over coffee and snacks after service. Let us continue to do that and extend it beyond this setting. Truly see one another, hear one another, connect with each other, and offer our kind attention to those who are with us. In this way, love becomes more than just a feeling. It becomes a way of being, a way of life, allowing us to soar in our interactions that we make with us, and we make ourselves available to each other. Let's train our mind in all situations to be open to love and see yourself through the eyes and the heart of loving kindness. And I'll just give you an example of something that I did this morning. Occasionally, I will have a missed call on my mobile phone. And usually I don't respond to those unless, I may be aware of something that is going on with the individual. And I have my phone set that it goes to sleep in terms of sending all messages to voicemail and not ringing during the night from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. No, to 7 a.m. Or is it 6 a.m.? Whatever time it is. Anyway, I did not hear the call when it came in. And the person did not leave a message. And so rather than ignoring it, I chose to send a text to the person and acknowledge that there was a missed call. And I asked, how could I be in service to them? Quite often, the response comes back, oh, this was a butt call. Sometimes we carry our phones in our rear. And so it just dialed itself on its own. So I have not heard back from the individual, but there was just something that said, respond and find out what's going on. And so we train our mind in all situations to be open to love, and we see ourselves through the eyes and the heart of loving kindness. Let us say together our affirmation for the week. My life, all life, soars in love today. My life, all life, soars in love today. And now let us pray together. I'm thinking of the words to a song from the church of my youth, that says, "Love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me." And what I know to be true is that that love is the love of Spirit, the love of God, the love of this divine intelligence, whatever name we call it by, source. It is that energy, it is that power, it is that presence that lives and moves and has its very beingness as each one of us, because each of us is an individualized expression of this love. Each one of us is lifted to that place where we soar into the love of Spirit, expressing this love to all that we encounter. All. No exceptions, no distinctions, no classifications. We do this because we know that God is a God of unity. And so in this very moment, I speak my word for our community, the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. I speak my word for all communities under the umbrella of Centers for Spiritual Living. I speak my word for all other religious and faith practices, knowing that love is the foundation of each practice. And that even though the words may be different, we're all expressing the love of God, love for its creation, love for its representations here on earth. And so as we unite in consciousness, I know that this thread of unity is that which heals the nations, which heals our individual souls, which heals our individual lives, heals our individual communities. How good it is to know that love and only love prevails. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. And I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing transitions in life. However this transition came about, there's a loved one that is left behind. And so as we grieve and as we mourn the physical absence, we also know a higher truth, that life is eternal, and that our loved one has just put a period at the end of this chapter in the great book of life, and has turned the page and is writing a new chapter in a new experience. And Ernest Holmes reminds us that nature will only let us stay here long enough to gain the experience necessary for the remainder of our journey. And so I am grateful for each day that I am here to gain additional experience. I'm grateful for each one that is gathered here this morning, and for those who are viewing via technology, that this is another day in the life of this eternal journey. I am truly grateful. And for those who are experiencing other transitions in life, transitions into right livelihood that may look like right employment, right gainful economic abundance, enough to provide for all of their expenses and to share, and much, much more to give and to share. Knowing that as we participate in this continuous flow of life, that everything that is for us comes to us, and that which is not for us fades away into that nothingness from whence it came. And for this and so much more than I have words for at this time, I am grateful. And I release this word into the activity and the action of love and law, giving thanks for the demonstration that is taking place right here and right now. And I just allow this to be so. And if any of what I have said resonates with you in any way, let us seal it together by saying, and so it is, and so it is. And now it is time for us to share in the practice of giving, of our financial abundance. In this month's issue of the Science of Mind magazine, and I really want to encourage those who are not subscribers. Our organization has a goal to reach a certain number of subscribers to sustain our magazine. But in this month's issue, there is an article that is written by our acting executive director and treasurer, Ty Minkler. And he talks about the connection between spiritual community and business community. You know, we are a spiritual community that is operating as a business. And sometimes people don't always recognize that. You know, we have certain obligations that we have to take care of, such as paying for the lights, paying for the water, paying for the electricity, the upkeep of our building. And we also have a commitment along with an obligation to care for our larger community. And we do that through tithing to our parent organization, as well as tithing to other communities that are practices which are in alignment with the teachings and the philosophy of Science of Mind. And so I just want to say that as a reminder to you that your donations do help make a change in the world. You know, this is one of our goals, one of our visions for our Centers for Spiritual Living, and that is to create a world that works for everyone. And I always add exactly where they are. And so I appreciate you. I am grateful for the way that you continually support our spiritual community. And so let's continue that by sharing our statement of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as a source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And we have on our screen, for those of you who are in our viewing audience, the various ways that you can support our community by mailing in your donations to 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You may text to give at 831-246-9694, and you may also donate online to our website, MontereyCSL/donate. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We welcome our Facebook and YouTube family and each one to join us next week as we continue our theme, On the Wings of Love. Love is realized in our actions, our choices, and our behaviors. And our theme next week is exploring the turbulence of love, acknowledging and navigating the challenges and conflicts that love can present. Yeah. Love is not all sugar and cream. I hear the laughter as affirmation of personal experiences. And so to our viewing community, we love you, we appreciate you, and we thank God for you. And remember to like, comment, and share so that the word continues to go out, that we are all united in love.